Look at that horse. Its legs are turning black. This is Beyonce riding a black horse for the Cowboy Carter visuals. These are two photos of Beyonce on BinCountry.com. They are taken from a 2021 Harper's Bazaar feature, a full 3 years before Cowboy Carter's release. This is the flag disappearing behind the horse in the 1/14/25 teaser. This is the black and white flag used for the On the Run tour, and this is the Pan-African flag used in the Renaissance World Tour, also used in Kendrick's video for Squabble Up. These are the last two posts on Beyonce from her creative director, Andrew McCosty, one of her on the black horse, and one of Renee in black and white, making Renee appear to be black. This is the classic good guy in a Western film. This is a classic bad guy in a Western film. This is the Rufus Buck Gang, one of the most famous black outlaw gangs from the American Wild West in the 1800s. And this is Nat Love, one of the most well-known black cowboys of the American West. This is The Harder They Fall, a black Western outlaw film produced by Jay-Z, inspired by the Rufus Buck Gang and Nat Love. And this is my theory that we are very much still in Act 2, but now we are entering the darker side of the cowboy archetype, the outlaw. Chardonnay, the Cowboy Carter horse, will be turning back to black, symbolizing a full reclamation of country music. Beyonce will step into the role of a morally complex Wild West outlaw, much like the perspective we hear on Daughter, and this would be a continuation of the narrative she and Jay-Z explored on the Run. As for the disappearing flag, I believe it will return, reimagined, either in black and white or as the Pan-African flag. And while you're here, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Your support means everything, and I want to keep bringing you these deep dives on Beyonce. Let's get into it. When the horse turns black, we ain't going back. The horse Beyonce is riding on the cover of Cowboy Carter is a Lipizzaner horse, a breed known for their unique coat color transformation. They are born dark, usually black or dark brown, and they gradually turn white as they age, a metaphor for country music that has been whitewashed to hell. However, the horse is now turning black in her teaser. She calls our attention to look at that horse, an obvious tie to the lyrics in Sweet Honey Buckin', but I believe there's a deeper Easter egg in her captioning the video with this. I believe we're still in Act 2, and Beyonce is not only calling out how country music has morphed from black to white, like the Lipizzaner horse, but she will be actively turning it back to black. Something she's already started doing by raising up artists like Shabuzi, Tanner Adell, Tiara Kennedy, Raina Roberts, and Brittany Spencer. Given that the driving force for Beyonce and everything she does is a legacy, something that she's noted saying in multiple interviews, it makes sense that she wouldn't be satisfied only by calling out a miswritten history, but rewriting it and making it right. Country music isn't the only thing that was whitewashed, but the Western movie was as well. The reality is, many of the first cowboys and outlaws were black, Native American, and Mexican, but this was often erased or downplayed in Hollywood films. For example, black cowboys played a significant role in shaping the American West. It's estimated that 1 in 4 cowboys were black, yet their stories were largely overlooked in favor of the dominant white cowboy narratives. Similarly, the real outlaw gangs, like the Rufus Buck Gang and others, were often portrayed as being composed solely of white individuals, even though many outlaws were people of color. The whitewashing of Western films can be traced back to the early days of cinema, when the industry was dominated by white filmmakers who sought to construct a narrative that reflected the prevailing racial attitudes of the time. This has contributed to a skewed perception of the Wild West as a predominantly white domain, even though the reality was much more diverse. Two examples of the black outlaw and the black cowboy are the Rufus Buck Gang and Nat Love. The Rufus Buck Gang was a notorious group of outlaws active in the Indian Territory, which is modern-day Oklahoma, in 1895. Led by Rufus Buck, the gang consisted of 5 young men of African American and Creek Indian heritage. Operating in the lawless environment of the post-Civil War West, they embarked on violent crime sprees, terrorizing settlers and towns in the region. Some believe their actions aimed to incite a rebellion against white settlers, encroaching on tribal lands, though this remains speculative. The gang was eventually captured and executed in 1896 under the jurisdiction of the hanging judge Isaac Parker. I can't help but think of the lyrics in Tyrant. Hangman, answer me now. You owe me a debt, you stole him from me. I hated you once, I envy you now. Just tell me how, tell me how. The Rufus Buck Gang's violent actions, while brutal, can be seen as a rebellion born from the desperation and alienation in a society that systematically dehumanized black people and Native Americans. Their violence was fueled by a desire for revenge against the systemic oppression and mistreatment faced by their communities, with the gang members potentially viewing their rebellion as a means to reclaim power in a world that denied them basic rights and autonomy. Nat Love, also known as Deadwood Dick, was a legendary African-American cowboy. Born into slavery in 1854 in Tennessee, after the Civil War, he gained his freedom and headed west, where he became a renowned figure in the cattle driving industry. Known for his exceptional skills as a horseman, marksman, and roper, Love worked on some of the most grueling cattle trails, including the Goodnight Loving Trail, responsible for driving herds of cattle from western ranches to the northern stockyards over hundreds of miles of arduous terrain. Nat Love would have spent months at a time on the trail. His adventurous spirit earned him fame, especially after winning a prestigious roping and shooting contest in Deadwood, South Dakota, which solidified his name, Deadwood Dick. Despite the challenges of racism and danger in the Wild West, Nat Love's memoir, Life and Adventures of Nat Love, published in 1907, offered a rare glimpse into the life of a black cowboy during that era. While he was not an outlaw, Love's story represents resilience and the overlooked contributions of African Americans to the mythology of the American Wild West. These characters were brought into the modern day in the 2021 film The Harder They Fall, directed by James Samuel, who brought a bold, modern style to the Western genre. Jay-Z served as a producer for the film and collaborated with Samuel on the soundtrack, contributing to the music's unique blend of contemporary and classic influences. Jay-Z's involvement helped amplify the film's impact, showcasing the untold stories of black cowboys and outlaws while reclaiming their place in Western history. In the film The Harder They Fall, Nat Love is portrayed as a protagonist, a charismatic and determined outlaw seeking the vengeance for the murder of his parents, played by Jonathan Majors. The film reimagines Nat Love as a dynamic anti-hero, balancing his pursuit of justice with the brutal realities of revenge. The Rufus Buck Gang, on the other hand, is represented by the character Rufus Buck, portrayed by Idris Elba. In the movie, Rufus Buck is depicted as a menacing, morally complex villain who seeks power and control in the West. Though heavily fictionalized, Buck's character symbolizes the darker side of the outlaw life. The film uses these historical figures to spotlight black contributions to the Western genre, reclaiming narratives often dominated by white characters, while emphasizing themes of resilience, revenge, and fighting against oppression. Beyonce revealed in a GQ interview about Serve Davis that she had been working on Cowboy Carter since 2019, describing it as a project 5 years in the making. She also urged listeners to pay attention to her age in the song 16 Carriages, where the lyrics 38 summers and I'm not in my bed suggest that she was 38 years old at the time of recording, aligning with her age in 2019. Notably, the film The Harder They Fall was released in 2021, meaning its development and production likely overlapped with the early stages of Beyoncé's work on Cowboy Carter. Could Cowboy Carter and Betty Black be the new Bonnie and Clyde? The theory that Act 2 may be 2 parts made me think there could be a continuation of the themes we saw in Beyoncé and Jay-Z's On the Run tour. This is a co-headline tour that thematically centered around their retelling of Bonnie and Clyde, Criminals on the Run. Interestingly, there was a series of concert visuals titled Bang Bang, where we see them on the run from the law and Beyoncé singing in what looks like a dusty saloon, a cover of Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down, originally sung by Cher. These short black and white films evoke the gritty, romanticized aesthetic of classic outlaw stories, and this calls back to her ending the Beyoncé Bowl with a bang. Beyoncé and Jay-Z collaborated on the song Part 2 on the Run. Jay-Z raps, I'm an outlaw, got an outlaw chick, bumping Tupac on my outlaw shit. Outlaws was a hip-hop collective created by Tupac in 1995. It was created to reflect Tupac's vision of unity, rebellion, and defiance against oppression. The group included members Idi Amin, Hussein Fatal, Yaki Gaddafi, Castro, Napoleon, and later Young Noble. Tupac handpicked these individuals, many of whom he had personal connections with, to create a crew that represented the struggles and resilience of marginalized communities. The name Outlaws stood for operating under thug laws as warriors. Aligning with Tupac's revolutionary mindset, each member adopted an alias after historical dictators or figures, such as Napoleon and Machiavelli, reflecting the group's confrontational and rebellious ethos. Outlaws gained widespread recognition through their collaboration with Tupac on iconic tracks like Hit 'Em Up. Tupac envisioned Outlaws as more than a rap group. They were a movement representing his ideals of self-empowerment, loyalty, and resistance to racism and systemic inequality. It's fascinating how the themes of Outlaws align with the stories of the Rufus Buck Gang, both representing rebellion, defiance, and a fight against systemic oppression. If Beyoncé were to reimagine the On the Run or Bonnie and Clyde narratives in a Western setting, it could take on a powerful new form. Instead of running from the police, the characters could be evading the hangman, symbolizing justice in the harsh and racially charged landscape of the Wild West. This shift would not only tie into the outlaw archetype, but also reflect deeper themes of resistance and survival in the face of oppression. During the Beyoncé Bowl, we see American flags under construction, which led me down a rabbit hole of Beyoncé's history with flags, starting with the predominant use of the American flag seen throughout Cowboy Carter. Beyoncé's use of the flag challenges its association with far-right symbolism. People claiming she's supporting a far-right ideology are completely missing the point. By avoiding the flag, you're letting those groups take ownership of it, essentially allowing them to push others out of being American. Beyoncé has deep roots in America and every right to reclaim and redefine the flag's meaning. Who else but American citizens should decide what it stands for? If you let racists and extremists claim it, you're letting them win. Beyoncé's love for this country is exactly why she's criticizing it. Like any relationship, if you love something, you're willing to fight to make it better. Something she underscores in Ya when she sings, "Whole lot of red in this white and blue, history can't be erased." This is all brought home with the visual of the American flag under construction, a metaphor for reshaping and rebuilding a new America. One that won't be defined or overrun by racist or extremist groups like the Proud Boys. America is a melting pot and was built on the backs of people of color who alchemized their trauma into their own beautiful culture. They have every right to proudly fly the American flag because they fought for their right to belong here. Perhaps this is what Beyoncé is referring to in the lyrics of My House. Now, there was a black and white flag used in the On the Run tour. Stripping away the red, white, and blue leaves a stark contrast that feels more like how America actually sees itself. Black and white, divided by race and ideology. By removing the color, the flag becomes a statement about binary struggles that define the nation, while also reclaiming a national symbol to tell a more personal, raw story. It's a powerful way to reflect on America's divisions while tying it to their outlaw-inspired narrative. We also saw her use a Pan-African flag during the Renaissance World Tour during the My Power and Black Parade section. The flag was designed in 1920 by the Universal Negro Improvement Association, led by Marcus Garvey, as a part of the broader Pan-African movement. The flag is red, black, and green. Red, representing the blood shed by the people of Africa and their African descendants in the struggle for liberation and the shared ancestry of the African diaspora. Black, symbolizing the people themselves and their identity, and green, standing for the land, wealth, and natural resources of Africa. The flag became an enduring symbol of African heritage, freedom, and resistance against oppression. It has been widely adopted by various movements, including the Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, and Pan-Africanism, and continues to inspire cultural and political unity. Given its history, you can see why both Beyoncé and Kendrick used it in the Squabble Up video. Lastly, we see Beyoncé fly the B flag throughout the Run the World Girls video, a video which starts with her riding on top of a black horse dressed in white. If the teaser for what's happening on January 14th in fact does result in the horse turning black, it would be a same visual, her dressed in white, riding a black horse. The font is strangely similar to that one that we see on the date 1/14/25. As the flag disappears behind Beyoncé and the horse is turning black, could it be that she is raising up a new flag, one that still looks like its old self, but with a new color? If Cowboy Carter does have two parts to this act, could it be a continuation of the outlaw-inspired themes Beyoncé and Jay-Z explored during the On the Run era? Could Beyoncé be diving into an anti-heroine narrative, similar to the Joker or Harley Quinn, where we uncover the backstory behind why criminals do what they do? Just as the Rufus Buck Gang's actions were a response to systemic oppression, as well as Tupac's group Outlaws, Could Beyonce be highlighting how the experience of being black in America can sometimes create villains, and ultimately, who is truly to blame? The system or the individual? In Beyonce's Black is King, Jay-Z reflects on the interplay between good and evil within individuals, stating, "Nothing is complete on its own. There's an ongoing exchange between dark and light. It's not always a battle, it's a conversation." By embodying a morally complex anti-heroine outlaw, Beyoncé could be coming full circle, reclaiming the Western film genre from its whitewashed history just as she's been doing with country music, weaving a narrative of rebellion, loyalty, freedom, and love, the only force that can ultimately save us all. In her GQ article, Beyoncé says that legacy is the thing that drives her most. The potential evolution of Act 2 would not only elevate the storytelling to a whole new level, but anchor it in a broader legacy of Black resistance and cultural reclamation, solidifying Act 2 as a profound statement on identity, power, and the fight for liberation and reclamation of Black history in America. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, Lore Breakers.